So they did it. The Senate has, by the narrowest of margins, passed Donald Trump's big billionaire giveaway bill. JD Vance actually had to go and cast the tie-breaking vote. And in advance of that, I just want to read one tweet from him so that you can get into not necessarily his mind, because he's a liar. Nothing that he says or tweets is accurate to what he's thinking, but it's accurate to what he thinks will dupe people into accepting what the Republicans are doing. So he tweeted this: everything else, the CBO score, the proper baseline, the minutia of the Medicaid policy is immaterial compared to the ICE money and immigration enforcement provisions. So that's before they passed it. Him saying, all of you guys talking about these little tiny piddly things, it doesn't matter. We gotta get rid of these goddamn day laborers. And so what's the difference with the CBO score? Are we adding 2.8 trillion to the deficit? Are we adding 3.3 trillion to the deficit? Immaterial. We gotta get these day laborers and dishwashers out of here. The minutia of the Medicaid policy. You guys are wasting my time with 12 million Americans losing their health insurance. We gotta get these goddamn empanada salespeople off the streets into South Sudan. And so I don't think that JD Vance believes literally any of that, but he thinks that is a good way to dupe not only the electeds, but the regular Republicans into accepting this. You should be fine with, and in fact, shut the hell up about losing your health insurance so we can get all those scary brown people out of the country. And unfortunately, I guess it worked. Not that it's polling well necessarily, even amongst Republicans, but better than it should be. And that tweet really, I think, just sums up the entire Trump term so far. We are going to devastate you and your family and your rights, what little are left of them, as well as your finances and definitely your future, let alone the future of your kids. But in return, and get rid of some Colombians. And so that's what they've got. And so now it goes to the House, everybody, and maybe they'll save us. Maybe House Republicans will save us. Definitely bet every cent you have on that. But anyway, apparently the reporting says, and again, this came out even before it passed in the Senate, that House Speaker Mike Johnson's legions of MAGA stooges are fuming over the fact that the Senate version of the bill is actually far worse than the House version in a variety of different ways, putting pressure on them to perhaps either change it or reject it or just comply with an even worse bill that Senate Republicans have come up with. And so here's what the Hill had to say, talking with some of these Republicans in the House. This is according to one moderate House Republican. Moderate, they're very moderate. By the way, the Hill defines it, not how you and I would define it. On the text chains, on the phone calls, everyone is complaining. There's a few little provisions people will say something positive about, but no one is happy with the Senate version. It's amazing to a lot of us. How did it get so much effing worse? And I love that even the moderate House Republican says, how did it get so much worse? Not, how did our good bill now become bad? He's clear, and it's almost certainly a man, this is the Republican Party. Clearly they thought their version was already bad, but now it's worse. And at least 6 moderate House Republicans are planning to vote no on the Senate bill in its current form. So I feel better. Do you feel better? Why was oh my God, I started the show off, I was so heated. 6 House Republicans are saying they can't support it in this form. Let's move on to other news actually. Let's talk more about the expansion of the WNBA over the next few years. I think that Philadelphia is getting, obviously I'm being sarcastic. They always say they're gonna save us. When have they? When have moderate House Republicans accomplished anything in this term? That's not a rhetorical question. I might well be forgetting something. So if our producers or if you in the audience can come up with something, I would love to know, because otherwise I feel like this is just, I feel like the Hill and Politico have like a contractual obligation to write this exact article every time we rocket towards the edge of a cliff. So anyway, yeah, no, they're super worried about it and they're definitely gonna demand changes or whatever. So look, I don't want to just give you doom and gloom. So there were a couple of small changes to the Senate version before they passed it. So some of the new taxes on solar and wind are not going to go forward. If you construct new solar and wind very soon, like in the next year or two, after that, I believe that there will be the new taxes and all that. So again, I don't understand why it has to be a thing at all. Republicans supposedly are so against stymieing business and everything. In this case, they're perfectly happy just strangling this industry in the crib, metaphorically. The AI thing was stripped out 99-1. You may not even know about this, but they had a component in this budget bill where there could be no regulation of AI for a decade. I mean, that's just like, I don't want to be crude, but the Republican who wrote that up was definitely actively masturbating when they wrote that. Like they knew, come on, in the budget bill, 10 years, no regulation. In 10 years, you're gonna be hooked up to a machine and your mental energy is gonna be powering ChatGPT 7.2. And then, but we shouldn't be able to regulate it until then. Okay. Well, anyway, so some of the moderate House Republicans have their concerns, as we described. On the other side, some of the more conservative Republicans have different concerns. In particular, that this Senate version of the bill spends too much money. And here's what the House Freedom Caucus said. They said the House budget framework was clear. No new deficit spending in the one big beautiful bill. And can I just say, like, the big beautiful bill language it's just disgusting propaganda. But also, it literally is just because of Build Back Better, right? It's literally just that Trump doesn't like that BBB was a Biden thing and so he wanted to replace it. We live in the dumbest time. Also, you know what else is dumb? The idea that the House budget framework had no new deficit spending in the House version of the bill. What are you talking about, House Freedom Caucus? You moronic a-holes. You guys were already jacking up the national debt by literally trillions of dollars. It passes through the deficit and then it becomes debt permanently. They already did that. Now, yes, the Senate version has more of it, but not even like that much. It's like $500 billion more. You guys already had the most of that. So the idea that they were being fiscally responsible and now all those damn Senate Republicans are the ones that wrecked our fiscal house. No, that's obviously ridiculous. Don't buy the hype. In any event, Thune had said that he thought he had the votes. Apparently he did. And so what they did is they got enough of those supposed independent or moderate Senate Republicans to vote for it. Those who were so concerned about the devastation of rural hospitals and all that stuff, they're fine with it. Now, some of that stuff was patched a little bit. I ranted yesterday about the rural hospital thing. But this bill in its current form condemns 10 to 12 million Americans to lose their health care. And that's what these Republicans were fine with, signed on, just whatever, and it was always gonna be this way. And so I'm gonna move to my prediction in just a sec. Just a reminder, CBO, 11.8 million more Americans would become uninsured. They're cutting Medicaid, Medicare, and Obamacare by $1.1 trillion over this next 10 years. More than 1 trillion coming from Medicaid alone. Because you can do that. When you get in power, by being given hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars from the wealthy, yeah, you can just loot the money that goes to the poor. And you can hand it back to Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and George Soros and all that. You can do that. They're proving that. And so that's where we go to the House. So it's gonna go to the House right now. And the House they need to reconcile the two versions because they're not the same. Now, there are a couple of different ways that this could potentially shake out. It could be that the moderate House Republicans are gonna want some of the worst parts changed. It could be that the House Freedom Caucus wants even greater cuts. It could be that those two things work at such obvious cross purposes that they have a version, but then they send it back to the Senate and the Senate doesn't like it. All that is possible. I'm gonna make a prediction though. I think, and I could be wrong, and in my prediction, if I'm wrong, we'll know very soon. I don't think that we're getting anything like that. I think we're gonna get the worst case scenario for this in terms of timeline. I think they are going to wrap this the hell up so fast it'll make your head spin. I think they're gonna beat that July 4th deadline. I think there is a chance that live on air tomorrow, Big News Wednesday, we'll have them pass that for a simple reason. And well, two, maybe three simple reasons. One simple reason is the House Freedom Caucus, the moderate Republicans are goddamn liars. They're not actually principled. And so I don't care what they tweet. I don't care what they say. They don't actually mean it. Because at the end of the day, they have the same actual goal that every other Republican has, which is to pay off their donors. And that's what they're doing. And I said this, was it 2 weeks ago? Was it 2 months ago? There's just too much money to be stolen to let little minor things about a tax credit or a tax cut or a rural hospital or whatever, an AI provision, it doesn't matter. They're gonna steal trillions upon trillions of dollars. They're not gonna miss that opportunity. And even if that wasn't convincing enough to get them all in line, and I think it is, look at all the stuff that's happening with Donald Trump and the threats. The threats are just too persuasive to these Republicans. You're gonna be like one of the 3 or whatever moderate Republicans that kills this thing and say goodbye to your career? Why? Because of principle? Because you can't do that to your constituents? You're gonna give up your political career and just go back to making millions of dollars as a lawyer? You know you find that unacceptable. Oh, a life of just luxury and millions, not good enough for you. You want power. You see yourself as a senator someday or as a governor or maybe perhaps president. And so screw all those people who are gonna lose their health insurance. Condemn them all to the fire or whatever. They're gonna hand over the money. I don't know exactly what form the bill will come in. Maybe they'll make some small little piddly changes where each side, the Senate and the House, can both say, oh, the other side of the bad guys. But we know the deal. We know what they're doing. They are simply not gonna pass up that opportunity. It's just too much money.